Patricia, I would love to see you at the Hollywood Improv. I think they would really.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It would take the value up so much.
A lot of bourbon. Don't plan on it, but you never know. I have such respect for stand-up. I mean, I have friends who are stand-ups. I think it's just, I revere stand-up comics. I don't know how you do that. I think it's the most brutal and yet fascinating and exhilarating art form. I love stand-up comedy. I love watching
brutal and fascinating.
Brutal, though. It is brutal.
Perfect that the juxtaposition of the two. I mean, you nailed it on that.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. This is the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home program. I'm Courtney Shane, fellow actor and SAG-AFTRA member. I'm so excited that everyone's here. If you're interested in programming like this from the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Now it's my pleasure to have our panel of Emmy-nominated performers in the short form series. Thank you all for being here. I am looking forward to getting into these juicy questions for our audience to help demystify some of this process. First question that I have for you is, can you just talk about how you ended up in the roles that you have on these amazing projects that you've been nominated for? And we can go in the same order in which I introduced people. Ike, if you could start us off, that would be great.
Yeah. So I'm nominated for playing myself in a series of shorts called Words with Ike. And yeah, that basically came about in sort of a DIY fashion. I'm a stand-up comedian, and a few comedians and film collaborators, we're all just kind of, I don't know, hanging out with each other on the scene. And one in particular, a guy named Graham Mason, had this idea of doing like a series of short videos that each centered around explaining a single word in a very whimsical fashion. And so, yeah, we made sort of our first season of videos, just kind of self-funded, and took them over to FX. They have a short form program called Cake, and it felt like a good fit to keep making more Words with Ike videos. So yeah, it started from very, very natural, humble origins, I suppose, and yeah.
Or organic process. I love it. Thank you. Desi.
Well, I auditioned for The Daily Show in 2015. I only auditioned for the show 3 times over the course of the years, waited tables for 10 years. So total overnight success. I think I finally wore them down and they hired me when Trevor started the show. And for part of the auditioning process, when you're hired as a correspondent, you write your own piece, kind of what you think your lane might be on the show. And the piece that I wrote at the time was very much inspired by satirizing the Megyn Kellys and the Gretchen Carlsons, women who I was seeing on Fox News. So when I started the job, I thought, oh, this is probably going to be my lane. And then I don't know if you remember, but Trump came onto the scene and the whole landscape just changed. And thank goodness I wasn't cornered into that playing that character all the time. But since that point, I was looking for an opportunity to kind of embody that very specific paranoia and mania that you feel when you watch Fox News. And that's how Foxplains came about.
Love it. Jacinte.
Yes. So this started from class. I was in acting class, and a classmate of mine, she and I had been talking about working together, and she had created a pilot with 2 other women in Atlanta who were improvers and writers, and asked me to work on a sizzle that they were going to do for the pilot. And I acted in it. And after that, they asked, hey, do you want to write and develop this with us and co-produce? And I said, no, I don't want to do that. It terrified me. But eventually I was like, you know what? No, I do want to do this. It just seemed like a really great opportunity to stretch and challenge and give myself a job. You know, I was at the brink of like a little bit of frustration with a bunch of no's and just needed to, you know, really lift myself up. And so this gave me the opportunity to do that. And yeah, I helped, you know, co-wrote this with For the Women, and we just tried to make the best thing we could. Post-COVID, we had something written, had to, you know, just throw it all away and start anew. And here we are. Yeah, shot it with a team of really incredible filmmakers here and had a ball. And I'm like, whoa, this just happens.
My favorite part about that is give myself a job. I love that so much. Ray.
I made a short. So for Cooper's Bar, it first was a short that Lou Mostello, the brilliant character actor, and Hannah Davis, one of our writers, producers, and directors, myself, and David Connolly, one of the writers and cast members, used to all work out in Glendale at an Armenian like summer camp place in a basketball gymnasium, and would just entertain each other with stories. And Lou in particular, he's from Buffalo, New York. He has a decidedly Buffalo accent and take on LA, and he loves this business. But he also hates this business and struggles with Los Angeles and Hollywood and all of those stereotypes. So he built a full tiki bar in his backyard that is real, and it is in Atwater, and everything from like celebrities to somebody he just met at the coffee shop today, and a janitor come and hang out in this backyard like it's a real bar. And Lou would tell us these stories every Monday when we'd come in to work out, and we decided to film one of them. It's a conflation of a couple of them. And they were like, Ray, do you want to help? And will you be in it and play an absolutely horrible network person that's just a god-awful person, which sounded like a lot of fun to me. So I did. It did very well at South by Southwest, but it was the year that all the festivals got canceled. First year of COVID. So we were really bummed. And I know a bunch of the creators and the main cast members wanted to use this also as a pilot presentation to try to get a series. And we ended up just showing it to a couple of people that were like, this should be like a short form series. And AMC's new digital branding content arm and all the wonderful people there that I had not been exposed to as much, doing a 1-hour drama, Better Call Saul, with them. They said, like, do you guys want to make a short form series? Because there's spaces out there that really want that kind of content to stream. And we said, yeah, we do. And then I came on as I guest star. I continued to guest star in the part that I'm playing, but mostly directed and executive produced. And here we are. And it was really fun. And as I'm sure anybody on this panel can attest to, the specific challenge to write and produce something that's good in short form it's very challenging, and it has very specific challenges that you would not do if you're doing a half hour. So I enjoyed that dynamic.
What I loved about that is there's a merger of stories, and then it's just some chit chat, you know, about the stories, and then it unfolds and becomes the thing. And I love that your character warranted some trash on your car and a restraining order. Fantastic. I love it. All right.
And a hot wings contest. I had to eat a lot of them, and I don't like wings.
What we do for the craft, what we do. Patricia.
God, you guys, all your stories are so fascinating. Mine is so straight and so simple. I mean, I got a call, simply, you know, kind of that dream call from my agent who said, Patty, do you want to do Nick Hornby's written the second season of State of the Union. It's an older couple now. I said, it's you and Brendan Gleeson, written by Nick Hornby, directed by Stephen Frears. I said, are you kidding me? Yeah. And I said, they said, do you want to read it? I said, well, no, I'm in. and I said, are you insane? I said, just tell him yes. How's the money? It's bad. I said, okay, I'm still in. And I had to go to London in the height of COVID, the height of Delta. My mother, who's very, Southern, she was like, Patty, you cannot go to London in the height of this pandemic. And I said, well, Mom, I'm going to work with Brendan Gleeson and Nick Hornby and Stephen Frears. And she was like, oh, you're going. You're have a good time. Go. And that's how I felt. It was just a dream situation, it's a gift. It was just a gift to be given in this business. And, I'm 62 and the struggles I had and some not now, not so much, but, just when something beautiful like that lands in your lap, I'm always incredibly grateful.
Well, especially when it's a phone call and people are thinking of you. I mean, that's just beautiful and amazing. I love it. And I love the story of the advice of not flying to Europe. Then no, you're going. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. All right, let's turn to Sydnee.
I am also pretty simple with this as well. First of all, this is so awesome and dope that we're on this panel with all these amazing people. But I wasn't really acting a lot. I'm mainly a stand-up. And the last 2 years, I was like, I really have to push myself in acting. You really have to do it because what are you just going to be on stages forever? So it was great that they ended up John O'Neill wrote this script about Bridesman, which is something that's pretty universal. Everybody's been a part of a wedding. Either somebody's been a bride or has been part of the wedding party. So it was something that I could resonate with because I've been in them and I'm not even friends with those people anymore. So I was really like, when I read the script. And my character is Judith and she's a straight woman and I used to be straight. So I was like, I can act. I can do that. That's going to be really simple for me. And they've seen me on stage and they were fans of mine and they just was like, we think you would be great playing Judith. Can you do it? And it was during also the height of the pandemic. And I was in a long distance relationship and I was in New York struggling and my girlfriend was in LA thriving. And I said, this is also a great opportunity to be with my girlfriend. And it just ended up being an amazing project that I was like, oh, this is less about my girlfriend and more about the acting and just being on set and being with so many incredible, talented people, from the characters to the staff, everybody. It was just a great opportunity. And I'm so glad that I said yes.
I'm intrigued by the fact that it's on a platform. YouTube has Grindr has their own channel on YouTube. So when did you find out about it being on Grindr and the amazing content that they were making?
I mean, it was supposed to just be on the app. And then they saw all the episodes and they were like, oh no, this should be on YouTube. And for me as a performer, entertainer, I was immediately like, no, YouTube is for the trolls, the incels. I don't even want to look at the comments. It actually made me really stressed because this was the first time where I was like, I'm really going to take chances and just really have fun with this. But they're not good. Like the trolls, they literally have basic Wi-Fi and the confidence to feel like they can write anything they want. So I was really worried. But then after it came out, it was just like a really good outpour of opinions and people enjoying it. And so I'm glad that we were able to do both.
Amazing. Love it. All right, let's go on to the next question. So this is basically, let's take what Ray was saying about how short form content, digital content, it's a very different space. We're talking about shorter episodes. So how did you have to adjust yourself in your craft for that space? And then how are you utilizing what you've done to leverage visibility in this space as well? Let's start with Ike.
Yeah, in some ways it felt, not sure if this is much of an answer, but it did feel like a pretty natural process, like adjusting to short form. I think in my stand-up, I tend to sort of like maybe take a big idea of some kind and just sort of like, almost like a jewel or diamond or some kind of a prism, like kind of look at it from all these different directions in a pretty sort of like structured improvisational way. So I guess it felt like sort of breaking down the sort of longer stand-up into sort of bite-sized chunks. So yeah, we just basically, we came into the room, we had our list of words, we had a list of like general ideas around how we could play with each word. And in a very sort of conversational way, tried to find the most amusing route into giving a definition of a word. So it felt very simple. And then in terms of like leveraging it for greater visibility, I think because the videos are short and because they're kind of bite-sized, but also I feel like contain sort of like it's almost like the genetic code or DNA of this kind of comic persona and sort of comic sensibility. It feels like an easy way to communicate to people, like feels like a good handshake of a short, like a hello, nice to meet you. This is what I do.
Love it. Love it. Desi.
Well, I think as far as the short form aspect of it, there are a lot of pieces that I get to do for The Daily Show, whether it's in the studio with the audience or a field piece with interview subjects. There are certain pieces where you really do need to let them breathe. They kind of they have a beginning, middle, and end, and they really do need a little more time. It can't be taken out of context. For Foxplains, I think it actually lends itself to the short form because it's so rapid fire, and I think there's an intensity to it. It's all kind of driven from this frantic paranoia. And it's like this woman has to get out all of this information immediately to the masses on her iPhone from her bunker. Like she can't even take the time to go into the studio and film it professionally. So I think that lends itself to the small amount of time. And we also we started doing the series right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic when we were shooting from home. So really all we had, I had an iPhone and a ring light and the wall of my apartment. So we really had to rely on the brilliance of the writers to come up with funny material and just crank it out. We generally turn those around pretty quickly, which also adds to the intensity of it. We're chasing the news stories, which change every 24 hours. So we're usually putting out a piece from start to finish within the course of one workday. The writers might take a couple of hours to crank out a script, and then I might get the script about 30 minutes before recording, and we go to record it, and then we're kind of also coming up with ideas in the moment. So it's all very fast-paced and free-form, and so I think in our case, we're actually fortunate that it's only an allotted amount of time.
And making the news more consumable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
I'll watch Fox News so no one else has to.
Exactly. 439 hours. Right.
Thank you.
Taking its toll.
Sure.
Taking its toll.
So in your unique space, then how do you leverage this for visibility for your artistic path?
I mean, I would love to take credit for all of that, but we have a phenomenal digital expansion team here at this show who have it down to a science. It's become, it used to be that we were on air 4 nights a week on linear cable, and now we have all these other incredible platforms with social and throwing content up on YouTube and Instagram, Twitter. We have podcasts. So that entire team works around the clock and they do it beautifully. So I really lean on them. When I need to post something, I call them and go, okay, how do I set my profile pic? How do I don't know, what is a reel? How does this all work? So I'm leaning on their expertise.
Love it. Love it. Jacinte.
Yes, writing this was challenging because, we're talking about gentrification, which is, happening just about everywhere. And it's such, it's just, I don't want to say a hot topic. That doesn't even give it like it's full, full like effect on what's happening. But yeah, I, along with Jenica Hill and Loretta Moss and Meg Messmer and Karen Cisse. I need to say their names. I was like, I don't think I said who I created this with before. But we needed to just get to the point, get to the point with the story because there's just so much happening from so many different angles in this story. And there were so many people intersecting that we just needed to get to the point of what's happening. And so for myself, it was just like really understanding who this person was and like centrally what she needed and just get to it in every single scene and every single story, just get to the importance of what's happening. And that was a challenge in the writer's room and just a challenge on, in shooting because we didn't have a lot of space to fluff, so I loved having that challenge because it has affected me in my work. In longer forms. And also I'm thinking about how to do this again. Like I've already started brainstorming and thinking about what else to create in a digital form, because what is so wonderful too is that, we just put it on YouTube. We made it and put it on YouTube and it was just there for people to see. So just trying to get, the views there and hopefully development opportunities is like number one goal. And also just so wonderful to just have it there for those kinds of opportunities. So I hope I answered your question.
Well, I'm curious about spreading the word because, you're in a very, very unique situation because you did make it and put it on YouTube and you're not leveraging on the backs of like a network or anything like that. I mean, it's bold and amazing and you're being recognized at such a high level for just putting it out there. And it's courageous and amazing. And our audience is going to want to hear more about like, how did you do that and create visibility around that when you weren't working with a network?
Yeah, it's community. It's community here in Atlanta. Because, we're not in the primary markets. Opportunities aren't as much. But the talent here is incredible, and so we just went to our community and said, hey, let's make this thing. We raised money. We got the best people, we knew in the game here to shoot. And we just really leaned on, stretching across, as one of my other dear actor friends said, instead of up, because we didn't have those resources. And so, I think it's a testament to what you can do on your own. And just reaching out to your friends and people who also want to just make really cool stuff and go for it. Because it's literally, my relatives were donating, it's like just people just giving money and us just showing up, asking classmates to help us make this thing, and friends and husbands and all kinds of people just, helping out. And so, it's just a true testament to community here. It really is.
Love it. Thank you. Ray?
I love what you were saying, Jacinte, about getting to the point. We hope that we get, and I'm sure everybody here does if you don't already have it, like we hope we get to tell more of these. We hope we get another season of these. But getting to the point was big. And it sounds like some people on here have a skill set that spoke to, or the content speaks. I think you probably struggled less than I did with the short form of a narrative piece. I was struggling with, I've done sitcoms a lot, but and that's only 22 minutes on a network. But we knew we had a lot of jokes, and we knew we wanted to be fun and funny, and they go from broad to a few more subtle jokes. but we wanted to serialize the characters and serialize the relationships and have them err on the side of being realistic, things that you can follow, so that it wasn't just jokes. And that was important to us. And I found it challenging to get that done. In all of our scripts were 10 to 14 pages. We didn't have a lot of money, and we shot six episodes in 6 nights. They were all night shoots except for one half day. And you were fighting that sun coming up every single time. We made a choice to do traditional setups instead of handheld, which is just incredibly time consuming. But that was another thing that we all decided to do, that we wanted to help with the serialized storytelling and have it stand out in that way. So those were some of the challenges from it being short form, and shooting without a lot of money, calling in a lot of favors, really stretching people thin. But a lot of people that wanted to do it. We had I'm a new-ish director, and we had a first-time director that's also a writer, and a producer director. Like, we tried to help people move up in a department or elevate themselves on their resume in some way when we couldn't compensate them financially. And then I had the incredible benefit of AMC's digital content arm asking me to see whatever I was working on. And I'm very, very grateful that I did have that. And they brought Bacardi to us, because the whole thing takes place in a bar. Now that didn't translate financially. We got some help, but it also having access to people going to bands to give you songs for free and things like that. We had access to, but it's more the help we got. That just a hats off to you that you didn't have, of just like we had a network that was putting it on their site, you know, and they have their own YouTube channel, and I applaud you for, like, I wanted to make things a million times with my friends, and I never got off my butt and did it, and I'm thrilled that I did it this time. But I had AMC help me put it out there, and so what you did is spot on. Love it. I admire what you did, because it's hard enough to make it, let alone get anybody to look at it. And even with AMC, it's still like there's just so much content. You've got to advertise everywhere and be on social media when you secretly are like, I'm not finished doing post-production on the actual thing, but I got to get on here and promote it. It's just like, it's a lot. It's a full-time job. So but it's a job we wanted, at least.
Yeah, and there is so much content. So
much.
Like, so then how do you get that visibility out there to get eyes on your projects?
We had literal conversations in the writer's room about, like, how are we going to compete with cat videos? Because I, for one, love cat videos. So what is our plan here? Yeah. And honestly, that was one of the decisions to serialize characters, is because I knew we had some really good performers that were willing to come play with us. And I knew we had good writers. And so I thought, I didn't want to run the race of who's got the best 8 minutes of back-to-back jokes, because there are people doing that are doing it really, really well. And we knew we couldn't compete in that area. So as hard as the whole landscape is, we decided to err towards narrative.
Patricia.
I'm here.
Hi. So how has it been more challenging for your craft in the short form space? And then what have you done to leverage visibility about your project?
Well, look, Brendan and I had to shoot about 130 pages of, Nick Hornby, very crafted dialogue in 15 days. So it was, wham, bam, thank you, man. It was rough and tumble, and, but you're working, Brendan Gleeson is just one of the greats of all time, and just a beautiful actor. And we both understood and there was also another remarkable actor with us named Esco Goulet. And the three of us knew we just had to buckle down. Stephen Frears is not a man who suffer fools. He doesn't care what you had for breakfast. He doesn't care how he doesn't care like what the weather is. It's just you walk in and he wants to shoot. He wants to work. And it's all about the work. And it made me realize that, I've done so much in this crazy career of mine, but this was challenging. I was challenged with this, and it was good. It made me realize I'm human. I'm capable, but I had to rethink how I approached this, how I had to rethink how I, even just learned lines. It was just bulk learning, and yet hoping that they will somehow flutter out and be true and real and have the proper, timbre and emotion. And, I had to kind of not have any preciousness, I had to have I couldn't have any ego, I just had to just show up and be present, because the amount of the territory you're covering and that amount of time is really vast. And again, I'm very grateful to have had this opportunity. I learned a lot. It was difficult, but worth every single minute of every single day. I want to believe it made me a better actor. I think that's what we should never give up hope for. I hope every single thing I do makes me better. Who wants to stay status quo? It's like, finally, getting your friends together, and, we just have to keep working. That's what we are as actors. We get better as we age. We get better with time. And I strongly believe that, working on this project and, making it visible. I had AMC, but it's still, I wanted people to see this. I was proud of it. So I did what I could to put it out there. And I loved everybody on this project. I kind of miss them. COVID and all.
The inspiring thing is the not giving up and just to consistently work at all ages. And I love that inspiration from your share. Can you speak a little bit to how you have shared what you've been working on as far as visibility is concerned and getting people's eyes on it?
Well, I called a lot of friends. I made everybody I did actually, I think, honestly, increase Sundance's subscription level, because this also plays on Sundance. And I did. I made everybody join Sundance. And, Sundance is a great channel also. And I was like, don't talk to me unless you've joined Sundance.
Hey, phoning friends definitely counts. Absolutely. Like direct traffic. I love it. All right, Sydnee.
Okay. So as a stand-up comedian, we're just used to short form. I'm used to being in sketches. I'm used to doing it like shorter and getting it out quickly and not having enough money and making sure it's just funny and authentic and true to whoever is putting it out there. So I wasn't really too worried about being on the project, because especially during the pandemic, people were really just trying to push as much content out as possible. And we've seen so many people blow up from it because they were consistent and they didn't care if it was perfect or not, if the lighting, if something fell, they're like, oh, that's in it. And people love that. So it was one of those things where I kind of went in like, oh, this is going to be camp and it's for the gays, and the gays are messy and they love it. And so I knew we were going to get a lot of support from this narrative 6-episode thing. I was scared because you go on Grindr because you want to get dates and you want to hook up. And I'm like, do they really want to see art? But they do. And especially putting it on YouTube, it expanded it even more to people who aren't just on the app. So we were lucky for that. But yeah, just going in short form, you just have to just have faith and know that everybody involved is putting their best foot forward. And me as somebody who's like, oh, I'm not a well-trained actress. And sometimes I'm really in my head and I'm worried that, oh, this is not going to look good. I actually had so much fun on set that I could be myself and make choices that I wouldn't necessarily make if I was on something that was longer form, or if I was on a movie, or even just being a smaller name. I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of the things that I was doing on this short form situations. So, and the thing with the visibility, I learned during the pandemic is that you got to have no shame. You got to push yourself. You cannot be afraid to put yourself out there. And it's not narcissistic or you're not full of yourself or annoying. The people who are following you because they want to know what you're doing and they want to see your things. So why are you ashamed? On that note, I was the opposite of that. When this came out or coming up to it coming out, I was nervous. I really do get anxiety putting myself out there, even though I get on stage every night and I do so many things that people see me, I'm still like, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? So I could have campaigned a lot harder for, pushing out. Definitely my friends in comedy shared it. And it was just a lot of big names that love me or love the people who are on the project. Jimmy Foley, who was the lead of Bridesman, he was on the other two. And so a lot of people from that were supporting him as well. So it's just Benito Skinner was in it. So just fans of his. So it was one of those things where you just have to hope that everybody is reaching out and enjoying and supporting. And sometimes in comedy, we support people and we haven't even seen what it is. We're just like, oh, my friend is in it. Boop. All it takes is what does it take to just repost something? It's nothing. Just put it in your stories, put it in a tweet, send it in a text. It's really not that serious. You didn't have to show up and do the work. It's so easy to support. So I was really happy that everybody got on board and was like, okay, we were posted, we in it. And then when we did the Emmys nominations or just submitting each other, I was like, I don't know. Everybody else is going to have to, because I was kind of like rebuking it. I was like, oh, this is too much. I'm too nervous for this. So I was glad that everybody did their part and wasn't as self-conscious as I was about campaigning and pushing themselves forward.
What I love about that is how stand-up comedy actually impacted your performances and being able to act in short form, and that it was helpful. So everybody go work on some stand-up and to help your acting career.
They got enough.
I would need
Please
a
don't.
lot of help.
Patricia, I would love to see you at the Hollywood Improv. I think they would
my God.
Yes.
It would take the value up so much.
A lot of bourbon. Don't plan on it, but you never know. I have such respect for stand-up. I mean, I have friends who are stand-ups. I think it's just, I revere stand-up comics. I don't know how you do that. I think it's the most brutal and yet fascinating and exhilarating art form. I love stand-up comedy. I love watching
brutal and fascinating.
Brutal, though. That is brutal.
Perfect. The juxtaposition of the two. I mean, you nailed it on that.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So in the essence of time, I have 3 more questions, but I'm going to smash them all together into one. So we have one last round robin. And let me do that right now and get this party started. So I would love for our audience to get some advice from all of you. And that is any advice you want to give to an actor, any advice you want to give to help them hone their digital presence, any, motivation to get out there, start doing things, making things, how to get started, don't give up kind of encouragement. And then keep in mind that there are some actors that they're just used to just being actors and they just want to be actors and they're resisting digital form content and they're resisting the social media era of things. What words of encouragement can you give to those actors to actually break into this space?
I think in terms of the resistance to the form, I think one useful thing for me whenever I'm approaching something that is like a new form of performance or a new form of writing, I kind of look at it as like I convince myself or tell myself that nothing will ever be wasted. So if I just, make the decision to go in a particular direction and go 100% in that direction, it'll either work or not work in a way that I can learn from for the next thing. I think that maybe that kind of attitude really helps in embracing like new forms of expression, almost using it as like I don't know, like a science experiment or something, not being too, like knowing that whether it, I don't know, whether it capital S succeeds or fails, there's always something to learn from the experience that, will uh, either be just enriching personally or also maybe down the line, like professionally instructive in some way. That I think that's what I would say and have just said, actually.
So great. Love it. Desi.
I love what Ike just said. I think off of that, I have always struggled with, I think especially being a woman in a somewhat male dominated field in comedy, it's pretty easy to put a lot of pressure on yourself to be a perfectionist and get everything exactly right. And when you pitch an idea, it has to be the perfect idea and it has to be well formed. And every time you perform, you have to get it just right and rehearse it so many times. And, unfortunately, perfectionism is not conducive to especially a comedic environment, but really any kind of artistry. So I've had to really learn to get out of my own way and get into that creative zone. And exactly what Ike was saying, just finding a way to be creative, not always overthinking it and only doing something because it's going to lead to X, Y, and Z outcome. Sometimes you don't know what something is going to lead to, but if you have any desire to explore it, go for it. If you want to act, find a way to act. If you want to write, find a way to write. Do it in your free time. And if you do it enough and it's filling your creative soul, then I can't help but to think that some success will find you. And I think we're living in a time now when it's really possible to do that. I mean, if you even listening to this panel, it's like we're relying on community and friends and iPhones and ring lights and, sometimes with the help of a great network as well. But I think there are so many opportunities now for actors. So if you love it, just do it. Find a way to do it.
You spoke to something really important. This panel is very, very important for those actors that are in the deep, dark abyss of depression of, I'm never going to get any work, So having these inspiring moments, I thank you all. And let's keep that energy going and inspire our audience at home. Jacinte.
Exactly what you just said. That was, where I was when, I came into this project. And, the freedom to just explore in the work was there more than I had in, a lot of opportunities. And I'm so grateful for that, just to be able to have the collaboration opportunities and just to be able to dig into characters that I had just been wanting and praying to play, and just doing it and having some agency over it. It was probably the most freedom I felt, besides being on stage in a very long time. And so I agree with what Desi just said, it's just make the thing, be creative, feed your creative spirit, because there's opportunity there. And I was the naysayer. I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm terrified of it, but wow, I'm different now, having done this. And so I just see so much more opportunity in this form, and for myself than I did before. So yeah, I just say go for it, find your friends, create, and you'll have so much more input and opportunity to collaborate on something you feel passionate about.
I'm different now that I've done this. I really felt that. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Ray.
I agree with what everybody is saying. I mean, I honestly believe that work begets work. And like Patricia was saying, it makes you a better actor. So it doesn't automatically mean certain results will happen. But if you're going at it in genuine exploration and trying to become better at your craft or possibly learn a different craft, trying to be a good storyteller, and remembering that you love acting. You said you love it. So go do it or write. And there are a lot of people who can keep you from getting hired on the job you want or getting paid what you'd like, but no one is stopping you from working. If you want to work, work. You can make something on your phone these days. I mean, when I was coming up, it was non-union theater, in DC, where there aren't even agents, but you knocked on doors yourself or asked to be the, stage direction reader at a new play for free in a basement. So those opportunities, like everybody on here is saying, they are there. And I know it feels dark, but Jacinte, you brought up a good point. In my darkest days, and struggling and 2 and 3 day jobs and all of that, it was also the community I was missing. When you do work on something, like being around other people that are being creative and the collaborative spirit of making something together is part of what you miss when you're an actor alone sitting at home, and so go make anything. It sounds trite, but it really does. It does matter. It matters on multiple levels to just go do something.
Do it. Just do it. Patricia.
Well, as the elder on this panel, to the young actor, I speak at my alma mater every year. I go to the graduating class of Fordham every year and the actors. And I start with, what I've learned is that you must, and it gets back to we must have people who love us and want us to succeed around us. Mm-hmm. It is essential that, all of us are Emmy nominated. We need people around us that are excited about our Emmy nomination, that are congratulatory, that really are happy for us genuinely to succeed, but also want to support us and love us. And, forming that community that you can, acting as a muscle. Okay, I don't have a job now, but hey, let's get together and read scenes, get together and read a play together, get together and work on stand-up. Always keep that community around you. It is nourishing. It is vital. It is everything to us as actors because we can't always rely on a job. And we have to have the trust and faith of other people around us. I do think that's important. I would never have made it this far without tremendous people who really wanted me to succeed around me. And I think that's essential, especially in young actors. And also young actors, always remember, an audition is never wasted if it's good. It doesn't matter if you get the part. It's about the people in that room loving what you did. You might not be right for the part, but if you give a great audition, I promise you, you will get another job off that audition. Maybe not that job, but you will get another job if you knock them out in that audition. Your auditions are the most important thing for you when you're starting out. So that's all I gotta say.
And I love that you spoke to young actors, but I also want to recognize there are people who have been in it for 2, 3 decades. Also,
I'm talking young, but it said this advice is like I still think
for
about
everyone. Absolutely,
yeah.
And I love that because it is inspiring. Because some people have been knocked over on their tushies so many freaking times and have to get up so many times that it's hard to get back up again. So hearing that is wonderful to hear, to be inspired enough to say, you know what? I can take the wheel and drive it myself and make my own stuff and give myself a job.
I had to wait till I was in my 40s. You know what I mean? It's like, it's hard.
Love it.
But we can't do anything else. So what the heck are we going to do? We got to,
What else are we going to do? I completely
My part on Better Call Saul is the product of 9.5 years of quote unquote failed auditions. for Bialy Thomas casting. I had been in for them for almost a decade and I never booked it. And I was doing sitcoms, which is great, but no one would let me do a drama. And she called me in for a wide breadth of things, monologues, parts I never got, didn't even make it to the callback. Nobody ever saw them. And then when Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould asked about me, she spoke to them about 9.5 years of parts that only she has seen.
Wow.
That I played for a 1-person or 3-person audience. And
but you had that one person who saw all your parts.
Did, and she would direct me, and she spoke to them about how I take direction, all sorts of things that I brought to that room, but for this one little black box performance to 2 to 3 people. But they were failed auditions, and and I totally agree with you. Every single one of them counts. Make a snapshot of a character that you want to do, that you would do for 3 minutes for free at the end of your driveway, and love doing it.
Thank you for sharing that and going that deep. Sydney.
Well, I wish I was more well versed in the acting world. I'm really just getting my feet wet, and I'm truly so thankful and blown away. And this is really unexpected for me, but I do know that it's the passion and the wanting to be good and the doing it because you're doing it for yourself. Because if you're doing it for, I want to be a movie star, I want to be famous, I mean, you're going to be so disappointed because all of this is really tiring and it's a lot of no's and it's a lot of people not even seeing you. And so you have to get up every day and be like, I love this. This makes me happy. There's joy in this. Even the stuff that I might not like, I want to try it. I want to give it a try. I want to have the chance to do something different. And I think it's mainly about not being afraid to fail. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing stand-up and getting into acting and all of the things that I've done. It's like, I have to be okay with, it might not go right. People might say this was bad, but at least I'm putting myself out there and doing what I think is the best, because that's the only thing that's going to keep me going. And even when I've gotten great things, I couldn't even accept it because I wasn't good with myself. So it's mainly about enjoying the passion and enjoying what you're doing and realizing the good, the bad, the ebbs and flows, and accepting all of it. Because at the end of the day, you know, we could be on this panel having the best time and then not even realizing how amazing you are inside. So I just want young actors, old actors to realize, like, you are something special. Do you. Don't do what you think somebody wants you to do, because your audition it's going to show that. So I think in most of the things that I try to do, I'm like myself. And whenever I try to be what I think somebody want, I sound like I'm reading and I don't read amazing. So it's like, you have to really just tune in and get into it and want to be a part of it. So this is just, I'm blown away, and sometimes I feel like I'm speechless or don't know what to say, but this has been a journey. I majored in communications and has done nothing with it, but I'm glad that I bottle waitressed for 10 years and got me to this. So.
And you do the thing called stand up that Patricia, you said, what did you need? Bourbon?
Brutal.
You need to go to Cooper's Bar and have a drink before you get on the stage and do some stand up.
I would love to be at Cooper's Bar. Oh my God.
Well, for what it's worth, you guys, like, I know we were trying to inspire actors that are out of work, but working actors, like, this has been very inspiring to me. I have loved listening to you guys' takes on your material and your careers. Very inspiring.
Beautiful. What a beautiful panel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So on behalf of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, I want to thank you for sharing these experiences, going deep about your process, your craft, sharing, all the deep, dark things. Really appreciate that. Best of luck to all of you at the Emmys. This is so exciting. I am a cheerleader in your corner too. Go team, go entire panel.